What is up, everybody? So there's not. This is very impromptu. Essentially, there's nobody here right now. That's to be expected. But we weren't able to do a live podcast on Friday. And usually I would record a replacement podcast. We might have a guest in, something like that. We were also unable to do that this week. So I thought I'd just jump on. We'd do a live. I might put this up on Spotify, but I'm probably not going to just put it up on the channel. It will probably end up being a members only option. So I'm hoping that a few people will join in and come and join the old podcast here. We have a little discussion, and if not, I will sit here for a little while, and I'll talk to myself. um, hey, Bootman Sam is here. It's just me and you, Sam. It's just me and you. This is completely impromptu and unscheduled, as there was no podcast on Friday, and we hadn't scheduled anything for today. So I thought I would just jump on, see if there was anybody around who fancied talking boots, shall we say. So we are currently live on YouTube, and we are about to go live on TikTok as well because, hey, why not make my life just that little bit more difficult? Okay, hold on. Confirm. What do you want to talk about, Sam? If you're here, what's in your Hey, the man himself has arrived. So the reason that we didn't do a podcast on Friday was actually because Andrew was sick. And as I was just saying a minute ago, we were completely unable, or I was unable to get in a guest host. And so I would normally have a podcast lined up for 11 a.m. On a Sunday morning so that you can all watch something on a Sunday. But I wasn't able to do that. So I thought, well, I'm awake. We'll just jump on and do this live and have a little chat. As I say, I apologize. I am currently also trying to go live on TikTok simultaneously, but it doesn't seem to be liking letting me do that. But we'll get on with it. Let's have a look. Ross Lyons, opinion on Tiempo 10 Academy. I've had pros and elites, and I actually think they're as good. I think that they can definitely be better than the pros because they don't bend in half like soft cheese, and the upper isn't bad. So the Tiempo 10 Academy, I don't think is a bad option, especially if you can pick it up at say €50, something like that. So it's 80 at full price. If you can get it for 50, then I think it's actually a decent option. Yeah, like a good takedown option. Worse things are definitely out there. I need to do a proper review of it. I've only really worn them once. Um, because I'd like to make the claim they're the best Nike takedown model, but I really need to test them a little bit more before I say that. But I think it's a good option. Bootman Sam, I enjoyed the Boot Battles return. So Sam is a member. For anybody who is unaware, you can become a Boot Wizard member and get all of my videos super early. And for the Boot Battles, I actually put up a Boot Battle for our members. I put up two Boot Battles for our members this week. If you are an OG Boot Wizard subscriber, if you have been following Boot Wizard for a while, you will know that I used to do a thing called a boot battle. I would put one boot up against another, and I essentially put them through a variety of rounds like upper, touch, outsole, price, weight, things like that. Compare them, and each boot gets a score as if it's a boxing match. So it's 10 points for the winner, 9 points for the loser. And I just brought them back. So I just brought this concept back, but hopefully bigger and better than when I did it like maybe 4 years ago now. So it is. I put up the Predator Elite FT versus the Predator Elite Laceless. So that's up for members. And I also put up the Nike Phantom GX2 Academy versus the Vapor 16 Academy. So both of those boot battles are up for members now. They'll probably be around the beginning of March when they go up for just to everybody else. Um, Bootman Sam, how many are Puma King Pros holding up? Puma King Pros are doing nicely. there's always that thing where like I don't wear them regularly enough to expect anything to fall apart, because essentially I'm testing something else all the time. So they'll get like the pros have done quite well in terms of like they've probably got maybe up to like 10 hours worth of testing in them, which is quite a lot before I put before I put a review out, and they're holding up grand. But it's not likely that they'll get a lot more than that, because as you guys know, if you follow the channel, I literally put up 3 videos a week at the moment, plus a podcast, plus Andrew and I do the live. So that just means that essentially I cannot physically test a boot for more time than that. Otherwise, I have to test far fewer boots, which doesn't seem to be what you guys want. You guys want as many reviews as possible with as much information as possible. And I think Noah and Andrew have said this like reasonably recently, actually, that you can once you've tested, like I've got maybe 600 videos on this channel or something, which would assume I've maybe done 400 boots, something like that. Um, Once you've done that many boot reviews, you can get a good feel for a boot in a few hours. The only thing you can't really talk about is durability. So you'll notice my reviews very rarely have durability mentioned in them. Um, because you can get a really good feel for the touch, the feel, the general performance of a boot after a few hours. So yeah, there's usually 2 sessions, something like that. So I'm not claiming I'm putting these through like the rigors of a full season's worth of testing at all, but they're definitely getting out on the pitch. Ross, onto your second pair of academies. Got the all black ones yesterday, €55. Great price for €55. Going to get the Pred 25 Elite FT on Klarma. Can't decide what colorway. Everyone help Ross decide. What is your favorite current Predator 25 colorway? For me, it's easy. It's the launch. And I think both ProDirect and Unisport both just put the launch colorway on sale. So it's now cheaper than full price. So that would be my pick. And the launch color, hold on, let me get mine. I'm like, I can just wander around. So this is my favorite colorway so far. Absolutely no question. I think this is going to take some beating. But yeah, this would be my pick, and because it was the launch, it's also a lot cheaper than any of the other colorways right now. So that would be my pick. If you are here, if you've joined, there is currently 8 of you, I believe, in the chat. Let me know if you want to see something from the collection. I can go and pick it up. We can walk around. We can have a look at these things. The camera won't move, but I can. So yeah, I apologize for any mess you may be able to see if I do move. I'm blocking out a lot of the screen right now. Ollie, I believe this is Ollie R. I'm assuming this is Ollie Roach from Instagram. How's the custom Adlers going with the midfoot shank? That's a great question. Where are my custom Adlers? They should be on the table. 1 second. Here we go. Custom Adlers with midfoot shank. Clippy's here. If you don't know, Clippy just put up his first ever YouTube video. So go and check that out. It's Clippy's collection on YouTube. So it's a look at his collection. So please go check that out. Show him some support. I always wish when I first started that I had somebody or a community of people who would have been able to support me with like how to use YouTube, how to get people, how to get views, how to produce things, a little bit of feedback, and also just somebody to kind of like push people to my content. Now, I am not a giant creator by any means. There's maybe 15,000 subscribers here or something. It'd be nice if there was 15,000 people on the live, but there's not. 15,000 subscribers, pretty, you know what I mean? Like I'd have liked someone when I first started with even that kind of like mid-sized platform to just be like, hey, go and check this person out, give them a subscribe, drop them a follow. When you first start, it's really hard. Getting 100 people to watch your videos is incredibly difficult. Getting that first 1,000 subscribers so you can get monetized, which isn't a lot of money at all, it's still not a lot of money, is really difficult. So it's great to kind of like try and support other people where you can. So please go and check out Clippy and anybody else. So Ollie, to my Adlers with the midfoot shank. I might be in love with these boots. I'm just saying. Like, so these, if anybody doesn't know, so this is the Adler Yamatokyo, which is the synthetic leather boot from Adler, and you can see how mine have kind of softened up even more from wearing them. And I got these fully custom, so there's only one pair of these in the world, and they belong to me. So there's some customization on the heel here. So this is for my son and my wife. And the white and red and gold was my choice for the colorway, and then the outsole itself. So in for Adler, they have a Carvo insert, full length Carvo insert that runs down the boot, which is really welcome. But what I wanted from the original Yamatokyo is I wanted the midfoot to be stiffer because I felt like it was a little bit too flexible for me. It's actually not bad as it is, but for me personally, I like my midfoots to be quite stiff and stable. And so I wanted that with this, and Adler were very kind and put the midfoot shank in for me. It's the midfoot shank they use on the Yatagara shoe. So if you are if you want this in leather, basically, if you want this in premium K leather, you want to go and buy the Yatagara shoe. Mine is the Yamatokyo, which is the synthetic version, but I have the midfoot shank from the Yatagara shoe, and it's got like a really lovely spring back now. It's so much more responsive than even I expected it to be with that put in. They've become, I'm not going to say they're my go-to boot. They're not, like, because I'm testing things and various things like that. But what they have become is they're always in the bag boot. So like if something happens or I need to switch out or like a boot I'm testing isn't working, put these on, happy days. So yeah, I'm very, very happy with those, very pleased with those. Again, if you want to check out the full video, there is one there for you to see. Anybody who is watching, by the way, can you just give me a shout and make sure that my mic is working? Like, I know you can hear me, but I want to make sure you're hearing me through this mic and you're not hearing me through the camera mic, which will essentially be a pile of crap. So, can you hear that, people? Can you hear that? Anyway, we'll move on. Bootman Sam, been using them for 6 weeks. They're really durable. Yeah, they feel like they would be durable, actually. The way that they're built, the material, the upper material, this is the Puma King Pro. Screw it. Let's get the Puma King Pro while we're at it. We might not be getting the Puma King Pro because we are. Found them. I thought I had the wrong box. I have two boots labeled Puma King Pro, and I didn't think I'd find them. So this is the Puma King Pro. This is my pair. And what I'm saying is the way that this upper is built with the additional stitching, the particular material itself, and then the way that it's kind of like bonded into the outsole and the extra lip that comes over the top, it all seems to be, for me at least, I think it's pretty well put together. You could say like it's a little bit bulky's the wrong word. It does have a little bit of like some tank type elements to it, and it really does feel like it's going to hold up. I feel like the durability is going to be great on these. So keep us informed. Keep us informed, Sam, as to how you're finding the durability goes on these, because I am expecting it to be very good. So that's the best move those. Got a fire over there. Let's not set my boots on fire. Um, Here we go. Clippy, this is a nice surprise. Did you manage to get a pair of Shadow Pro 3s yet? No, I did not. I do have a pair on the way, but I do not. Yeah, I haven't actually tried. I haven't actually tried a pair, to be honest with you. So I'm waiting to get them in, but I do definitely have a pair on the way. Ross Lyons, ever have any Reebok boots? I don't have any Reebok boots in at the moment. I used to have a pair of Reebok boots back in the day, a pair of the Ryan Giggs ones. They were kind of like a copper color, but honestly, I I have no thoughts. No thoughts. I'm sorry. Clippy, yes, let's see the collection. As I say, ask if I've got something, I can grab it for you, or if there's something you can see in the background, I can pick that up. This particular shelf over here is an absolute disaster at the moment because I was pulling things out of it for TikToks. This one is a little tidier. You'll just have to like deal with me wandering around trying to find things. Bootman Sam, I don't know what you guys think, but a lot of top range boots in the last couple of years have got worse in durability, and that's especially on the sole plate to upper in the front of the toe box. Interesting thought. Again, I don't wear boots enough really to break them. Like, it's very rare that I will break a boot. But yeah, definitely let us know your thoughts, everybody. Let's have a look. Clippy, love a good always in the bag boot. Mine are the Mizuno Wave Cups. Exactly. Mizuno Wave Cups. Clippy and Ollie confirming the mic is fine. Great. I don't sound like ass then. You're actually hearing me through like a nice microphone, not like echoey and terrible. Samuel Phillips. I bought the Mizuno Alpha Elite 1 for £33 on Depop, but they're like 6 out of 10 condition. Look for 6 out of 10 condition for £33. Worth it to give them a shot. Worth it for giving them a shot. Um, Sam, I'm not a huge fan of shape on the Puma King Pro. Toe big's a bit narrow, heel a bit wide. Not terrible, but not my ideal foot shape. Yeah, I think that's completely fair. Hold on, let me get mine back. Um, so I actually have the women's fit, which makes the toe box not narrower but lower, which isn't ideal. Like I should have got the unisex fit or the men's fit, but the reason I didn't is because I like this colorway, and I bought these pretty much on release, and they were significantly cheaper because they dropped into sale straight away than buying the men's one. So I thought I would give it a go, and honestly, they're still completely usable. I do understand what you're saying about the heel. Again, no problems for me, but I do understand it just being a little bit on that wider side. And the toe box does pinch a little bit right near the top, but sometimes it's all about foot type, isn't it? It's about whether your particular foot fits a particular boot. Andrew, I think boots are more durable than they used to be. Yeah, I would definitely probably fall on that side of things. While there are definitely some durability issues, there always is, there always has been. I would expect that, based on my experience of when I wasn't testing boots and how poor the durability was on a lot of boots, I do think that what you get now, just in terms of pure build quality, is far superior. Like I say, that's just my opinion. Amran, hi mate. Have you read about the Mercurial remake supposedly coming out on the 13th of this month? So to answer your question, yes, I have read about them. Yes, I do know about them. But even with this being an impromptu podcast, as Andrew and I always say on the podcast, we don't discuss leaks. So anything that isn't officially released yet, we don't discuss that. So do with that what you will. We essentially only do things that are official. Clippy, I do find a lot of my teammates comment on boots not lasting more than a season anymore. Typically, I think some of the ways that uppers are bonded these days aren't as great as they used to be. So, my thought on that is that boots have never lasted more than a season unless you're talking about like maybe a Copa Mundial or something like that. I think if you go back to like a Vapor 10, for example, a much loved Vapor 10. I couldn't get a Vapor 10 to last more than a season. Like that would fall apart. And that's a much loved boot. If you start going back further than that, I don't think they were lasting there either. Again, we're talking about Vapors, eights, nines. You've got studs snapping in the back of the boot and things like that. Um, so yeah, I honestly don't think that the boots are lasting less time now. Andrew makes a good point as well, as people maybe aren't taking care of their boots as much as they used to. Boots are a little bit more of a more of a commodity, that more of a kind of like a fast fashion type thing than they used to be. It used to be like a big deal that you got your one pair of boots for the season, so maybe you would take a lot more care of them. Whereas now people, because there's so many colorways, the brands are doing this, so many colorways, so many boots, people are I maybe not treating them quite as well. I think that's a good option. Simon Phillips, I think if you take the Puma King Ultimate not as a synthetic leather type feel and rather a thin synthetic, it's actually quite a good performer and well balanced. I got my pair for £66 new. The Puma King Ultimate for £66 is an absolute bargain and a great boot for £66. My thoughts on the Puma King Ultimate, I have a full review up if you want to check that out, is essentially that it's a good boot. I don't really have any problems with it. I don't really have anything that I love about it. It simply just does its job and does its job pretty well. Like that's like I don't have an issue with it, but I also could never recommend it to somebody for £200. Like that's insane. Like it's not a £200 boot. There's much better out there. But if you pick them up for £66, hell, fill your cupboards because that's a bargain for a pretty good boot at that price. Clippy says T90 and Preds weren't horrible. Yes and no. Um, you could probably make that argument of a lot of older Preds, I think. And even older, well, maybe the T90 range, maybe up to the 4. But I think once you hit the X or maybe the LZ, you start to kind of lose the pred there, I think, in durability terms. I don't think the LZ necessarily has that same build quality that you got from like the really old ones. Um, but those really old ones, you kind of again, you're bordering into that like it's just a big tank of a boot. And I've said this many times. Andrew said it as well on the podcast that what that means is that essentially the boot wouldn't stand up in today's market because it's too heavy, it's too bulky. People wouldn't accept it, despite how much we love them and we get remakes and things like that. There's a reason they're on new tooling for things like that. Uh, Andrew T90s had terrible durability. There you go. Clippy. Amran, which boot would you recommend for wide feet? All I've been wearing for the past few years are Pantofoladoros. Would you be able to perhaps recommend a Mizuno pair? Andrew is in the chat. Andrew, would you like to recommend some Mizuno boots, please, to this to Amran, because you are going to be in a much better position to recommend a wide fit Mizuno boot than me. My wide fit recommendations at the moment are the Nike Phantom GX2 Elite and also the New Balance wide fit options. They tend to be like what I gravitate towards when recommending boots to people for wide feet. But Andrew is in the chat. He says Morelia 2 made in Japan. There you go. Andrew Preds did okay until the LZ. Yeah, exactly what I said. Bootman Sam's decided to delete his message. Sam, it's okay. You can. It's a safe space. Let us know what you're thinking. And Sam Phillips, my only one that finds the Puma King Ultimate incredibly difficult to put on. That knit is not so stretchy. No, but I understand what you're saying. It's not as easy to put on as it should be. I actually find that issue with like New Balance takedowns, like they're just not stretchy enough through the midfoot, which is a bit of a disaster. But yeah, and there you go, another recommendation there for you, Amran. So you've got a couple of options there. Let's have a look here. Massimo Manino, do you watch 252 Footy? Is this the guy that does the like drip or cooked like shorts that kind of boil my blood a little bit? If that's the guy, I have seen him. And I think like he's kind of frustrating because I've seen him put out like a review, like a genuine review, I believe, of the Vapor 16, and it was good. Like it was thought out. He had some good takes, he had some good thoughts, and it wasn't a bad review in terms of like the content of what he said. And then I feel like he's not doing that, and he's kind of like just rage baiting nonsense by just commenting or making nonsense videos. So I don't really have a lot of respect for that kind of content, to be honest. Um, Samuel Phillips, does anybody want Nike to bring back Brio cables or Flywire? Loved it on the Superfly 4. Noah Kavanagh, I believe, is your man for Brio cables and Flywire. He absolutely adores them. So, like, I wouldn't be against them bringing them back. My argument would be generally, like, this doesn't apply to all boots, like, do we need them? So they're there obviously to provide a lot of structure around the side of the boot. So you've got really good lateral stability, which is important. But I feel like we've got to a point with knitted boots, because this is why they were there, because knitted boots didn't have enough structure. So we got to a point with knitted boots where we didn't need to put them in anymore. Like we don't need to add them for the lateral stability. If they're required, yes, I'm okay with bringing them back. But for example, like Vapor 13, they found a way to do knit by putting in a high tenacity yarn through the knit that weaves through. And that high tenacity yarn does the same job that the Flywire or Brio cables would do. It provides your structure and it provides your stability. So I don't think we need it. But with that said, I'm not against it. Like if they want to go in that direction, I just think there's newer, more modern ways of achieving um, things like that. But would the current GX2 Elite benefit from some Flywire cables? Probably. Like it wouldn't hurt. Like so, okay, where are we at? Where are we at? Bootmad Sam. AG might be a factor though, especially in England. There's a lot more AG games than there was FG. FG isn't as hard on boots. Yeah, very true. Very true. Like FG does not batter your boots quite as much. And a lot of some AG boots, Puma are very good at this. Puma have been developing a lot of AG boots that are specifically made for AG pitches, which I realize sounds like an insane statement. Of course, AG boots are designed for AG pitches. Kind of. Some brands just slap an AG outsole on the boot and go, here you go. Whereas like Puma have done quite a good job of actually reinforcing their AG boots. They have taping around the toe. The way that the whole boot is put together is designed for durability. It's designed to withstand the additional abrasion and the additional temperatures that you get from working or from running on an AG pitch. So Puma have actually done quite a good job there. But you are right. Like, of course, AG boots tend to batter. Sorry, AG pitches tend to batter boots, and a lot of people are wearing FG boots on AG anyway, which is not ideal. That seemed to be a problem with the Predator 24, last generation Predator, when that released. There was essentially this slew of sole plates snapping. Is like a huge problem. And yes, this was definitely a quality and control durability issue anyway, but it only seemed to be happening if people were using the boots on AG. So like the AG was obviously doing something that was far too intense. Andrew, AG is also really bad for your joints. Hell yeah, it is. Jesus, I do most of my testing and shooting, like my solo stuff, on AG, just because it looks nice for video, and sometimes my joints do not appreciate that. Let's have a look. When you see what it does to even AG leather boots, it makes me cry. It does, like the way that it like scrapes them down. Sammy Phillips, have you or Andrew tried the F50 Plus yet? I love it because the boot that fits my cause it's a boot that fits my foot perfectly, half size down. No, it is massively on my list to do. So Andrew and I did a podcast with Ben, who is one of the, I suppose, development team behind the F50 Plus. We did a whole podcast interview with him. Super nice guy. We are friends with him now, so we can say we're friends with a boot designer or a boot developer, I think is his official title. And the way he speaks about the concept of the F50 Plus makes you want to try one. It makes you be like, okay, I need that boot. The problem I have is that obviously I'm putting out a lot of reviews and the F50 Plus is just an obscene price. I do think that Adidas have done the right thing by not releasing an excessive amount of F50 Pluses. There is limited colorways in the F50 Plus, which I think makes perfect sense. It's exactly what you should do with this Halo product. It's what Puma should be doing with the Ultra Carbon. So I applaud Adidas for kind of reining it in on that front. But that also means that the boots have maintained their price a lot more than a lot of other boots. So I was waiting until I got like a huge knockdown sale to buy them, which doesn't seem to have happened yet. I've also not found a pair anywhere that's kind of like been maybe used once or twice that I can buy and like test. So unfortunately, I haven't got them yet, but they are very high on my list to test. I just need to actually have the money to do it. So, so if anybody wants to become a member of the channel, help support the channel, like there's super chats in here as well. If anybody wants to support the channel, please do. It is an incredibly expensive channel to run. And as we've said many times on this particular podcast, Andrew and I, this is something that obviously costs us money. We do not make money from this. We don't make money from the podcast. I don't make money from the YouTube channel in general. So any support is always appreciated, even if that just comes down to liking this video, getting subscribed to the channel, sharing my stuff, sharing Andrew's stuff, making sure you read the blog, share it out on Instagram, things like that. Even if it's just that, that's much appreciated. But if you do have the ability to become a member, get those videos early if you're a starting 11 member, that's hugely appreciated as well. Helps me do the reviews that you want to see that little bit faster. Clippy, please not how they did it in the first few Superflies. I assume you're talking about the Brio cables there. Andrew also plans on trying the F50 Plus at some point. Yep. The new Copper Pure looks really good to me. Are they similar feel to the 2014 F50 because they look like it? So I haven't tried the new Copper Pure. I don't actually review leather boots, so I haven't tried that. So I can't tell you if they're a similar feel to the 2014 F50, but everything that I have seen about that boot would indicate to me that that's not the style or the vibe of the boot. But go and watch. I think Noah Kavanagh has a review out on it. Andrew will have a review out on them. And who else has a review? Josh will have a review on them. So go and check out a few different reviews, but I can't help you there. Maybe the chat can help you with that. Sammy Phillips. I always think if I played on not the best AG surface, I'd just wear TF boots, don't want to wrist joint problems. It's a solid shout. Like, I think, especially there's people who are trying to use AG boots on like sand-based turf, which is crazy. Like, that's just madness. You have to use TF for that. And if you do have a particularly old, worn-down pitch, then yeah, TF boots make perfect sense. When you get the black stuff in the front of the boot between the upper and the sole plate, it's just cringe. It is awful. I hate that so much. I hate that so much. Hi, James and Andrew. Do you guys have a chance to try on the Alpha 2s? Is the sizing and fit consistent with the Alpha 1? I exactly the same as Andrew's answer, which I can see a couple down there. I have a pair of Alpha 2s on the way, but I have not yet tried them. The general opinion seems to be that they do not fit exactly the same, but that the sizing should run the same in terms of what you would buy. But I haven't tried them yet myself. You guys are doing a fantastic job of asking me questions about boots that I have not tried, despite the fact I've tried about 95% of what's on the market right now. Sammy Phillips, F50 Plus from ProDirect was £180. I think that's fair for the innovation in these. Yeah, I don't think £180 is a terrible price. I can't buy from ProDirect. I'm in Ireland. So if I buy from ProDirect, it costs me a fortune to import them. So I have to pay shipping and then I have to pay import charges. So I cannot buy from ProDirect. I can buy from ProDirect France, but they didn't have them at a good price, and I think when they did have them at a good price, they weren't in my size. I'm literally just looking on. Yeah, so like the Unisport right now have two of the F50 Plus on sale, one at €200, €210, one at €270, but neither one in my size. And then the other one that they do have available in my size is still €300, which is just for me a smidge too expensive to justify when I'm trying to do so many reviews, and I'm already kind of late to the party. I'm already late on the boat with this one, so I'm happy to hold off on actually doing that review, shall we say. It will happen, but I just got to wait for it to happen. Do you think Nike are putting people at foot injury risk with Tiempo Legend 10 Pro with that bendy sole plate? No. Like, I don't think that it's potentially putting people at risk. You're always at risk when you go out and wear any football boot. Like, that's just a fact. I'd say you're probably increasing your risk. Like, but maybe not any more than the hundreds and thousands of people who wear boots that don't fit them. Um, it is proven by many people with more, or just let's just say smarter than I, that you do need something stable underfoot. So I'd say you're probably increasing your risk, but I wouldn't like to make grand sweeping statements on that particular element. Because I don't have the knowledge to do so. Yeah, I'm just going to move on from that. Santi, yeah, you see, I didn't actually rant too much about the Tiempo Pro there. I feel like the Tiempo Pro has just like worn me down. It's just like beating me into submission to the point where I'm like, oh, please, no more. Like, no, please don't make me talk about Tiempo Pro anymore. I hate that boot so much. Massimo Manino, what's the highest level of football you've played? Sunday League. Like I've never played any higher than that. Andrew, who normally joins me on the podcast, has played at a much higher level than I. I can't actually remember the exact level, but he did trials and stuff, and he was in a good system, I think, in America, and he's played at a reasonably good level in Japan. But yeah, Sunday League for me, that's like the highest level. Nothing particularly, nothing more than go down, play some Sunday League, maybe drink a pint or two afterwards. Nothing particularly professional about it. Um, but yeah, there you go. Clippy, I once used a pair of Evo Speed SL on AG without understanding why that was a bad idea. I immediately felt in danger when I started playing. Oh, that's so funny. Oh god. All I can imagine now is Clippy doing that Ralph from the Simpsons meme. I'm in danger when he sat in the back of the bus. Yeah, that was foolish. Foolish. Boomer Sam always could drop a Nemesis review real quick. Sorry, did somebody say Nemesis? I have returned with some nemesis, whatever you call it. So the Nemesis 19.1 and the point one are my jam. They're my favorite. So I've got the messy chameleon purple colorway there, which I'm a big fan of. And then I've got the messy. This was like a super limited edition. I can't even remember what it was. Came in like really kind of fancy colorway. I can't remember what it was called, but it's obviously absolutely knackered now. But I did put some shiny gold laces in it, so I think it looks nice now. So I got those. The laceless, which is actually not a very good football boot at all, but I have it because look how pretty this colorway is. And big shout out to Justin over at the bootcast at Texas Cleat Collector. He sent me these over, so nice, very nice thing of him to do. But an absolute crazy boot with this opening. And just so he's here in spirit, I actually have a few pairs of boots that I need to send over to Andrew, and I have these. Another boot that I quite like on the fabled Gamba Tracks outsole. So these actually aren't mine. These are going over to Andrew. I think it's these pair. Yeah, it's definitely this pair. Check the sizing, James. Yeah, these are going over to Andrew. So there you go. Somebody said Nemesis. I got excited. The Premier is as bad when broken in. You mean the sole plate? You, Sam, have seen the thing on the advanced reviews. You've seen the Premier 4, and you've seen the change in that. So it'll be interesting to see how that ends up after time. But you've obviously seen the change there. FYI, Soul Plate on F50 Plus is stiff, literally opposite of Tempo Tempro. Yeah, I've actually, again, the podcast we did with Benjamin, he broke down like the two carbon plates and how they work and things like that. So I'm very excited to give that a go. Got F50 Messies. Hope they are good boots. F50 Messies, I think, were second in my Boot of the Year awards for 2024. So I fully support that decision. I think they're great. Andrew there explaining obviously his footballing history. Had a couple of offers. Team here is playing at semi-regional level. There you go. I've seen loads of pairs of Nemesis on Vinted for less than £50. That's because nobody knows what they're missing out on. Everybody thinks that the Nemesis is a bad boot, and they're all wrong. Yeah, like there's a couple of colorways of Nemesis that I do want to pick up again. A couple of I want another pair of the 19 the the updated one. So I have the 19.1 here. So just the point one. I want some there with the texture on it. So I do want to grab a couple of pairs of those. And I need like a new pair that I want to customize. So that'd be that. Given the Tiempo 10 is such a disaster, do you ever see Nike going back to leather with their Tiempos, or is it more likely they'll scrap the Tiempo line entirely? I miss the CCR days, especially between the ones and twos. So Andrew has mentioned this on the podcast before that um, there is some talk and some kind of chatter, some sources that are saying that Nike have actually put in an order to rebuy um, K leather. So there is a chance that the Tiempo moves back to K leather as an option. I wouldn't expect to see that in the Legend 11, which is obviously which we're expecting kind of mid this year if the 2 year cycle stays as it is. So yeah, apparently there is leather purchased by Nike, so it is possible. I don't see them scrapping the Tiempo anytime soon, although maybe that is the logical thing to do. Ollie, Vinted is the way forward, not for my bank account though. Yep. Goddamn Vinted, man. Vinted is a disaster. Um, I literally I'm just looking at my phone right now. Like the amount of things that I've got just queued up on Vinted that I have to stop myself from buying on a regular basis is absolute madness. So Vinted is so dangerous. The only advantage I have is so like what I was doing, and I had to stop this because it was getting out of hand. Is I was buying things on Vinted, and I was sending them in the UK because Vinted UK is unbelievable. They have so much good stuff, especially when it comes to boots. And I was sending them to my brother who lives in the UK and getting him to send like big parcels to me. I had to stop because it was just too much. Like I was just buying too much, and especially when you can't physically see it in front of you for a while, you just keep going. And we didn't have Vinted in Ireland at the time. We now do have Vinted in Ireland, which is great. But our Vinted, like the options are really bad from Ireland because it's new. There's not many people uploading, and we are connected with Vinted in France, so I can kind of buy boots from France. But what is available is nowhere near as good as Vintage UK, which is obviously bad, but at the same time is saving me an awful lot of money. So, what can you do? I am just going to quickly, while we're all here, try to. I was trying to go live on TikTok when we first started this, and it wasn't having any of it. So I'm just trying it again right now because funsies. Oh yeah, it wants me to confirm my age. You see, which is an awful, which seems like an awful lot of effort. So that's just not going to happen. We'll do it another time. Da, 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 da. Vinted is very dangerous. Yeah, Andrew has discovered the joys and pitfalls of Vinted. Samuel, I let James enjoy Sif Soulplay. The one on the Hypervenom Phantom 1, I think, was phenomenal. Did you try those? Phantom 1, I did. I don't remember it being particularly stiff, if I'm being honest with you. But I had a pair of Phantom 1s for a very long time. Um, Interesting. Oh, I will move on because I don't remember. I literally sit with £50 filter in my size and look every hour. Yeah, I have a filter with my size, not even a price. Based on obviously what comes up soon. I just scroll through it. Clippy, in Australia, we don't have Vinted. Really feels like I'm missing out. You must have something similar, surely. I can't remember what I used to buy things off when I was in Australia. I used to buy and sell things in Australia. I must have had something. Um, I noticed that messy boots are not sold out and you can get with good discounts now. Yeah, absolutely. Like pick them up, get yourself a good discount. Sammy Phillips puts F50 Elite on Depop for £47. Hope they're worth it. Pink and black colorway. For £47, they're worth it. Like it's simple. Massimo Menino, isn't Vinted all fakes? No, absolutely not. There are some fakes on there. You have to be very careful. For example, there are two pairs of F50 Plus currently sitting on Vinted France that look very convincing, but I know that they're fakes. So do be careful. Make sure you are double checking. If you need to, ask for a picture of the size label. Run the article code through Google, and that usually will answer your question for you. Be very, very careful. But there is plenty of legitimate boots on Vinted. Milkman 798. Greetings, Mr. Wizard. Greetings, Mr. Milkman. I'm looking to finally get a pair of Skidettas after watching all the vids on them. I am right in buying a US 9 if I'm usually between a 8.5 and a 9. Yes. If you are in between those two sizes, then go for the bigger size, and that should fit you quite nicely. Oh yeah, there are fakes on there, but not all. Yeah, absolutely. You just got to study the images and the write-ups, 100%. And you have to be very careful on Vintage Depot with fake boots. Yeah, absolutely. You have to know your boots. Like I say, the size tag is usually a good one to look at. See if I can show you a size tag here. Yeah, this is a good one to look at. So this is a Puma size tag. And in here, you're basically going to get an article code. And in that code, it shows the boot type and the color. So let me get a pair of fake boots. I have a pair of fakes, and I can run the article code through and show you what happens. Okay, so this is a pair of fake Nike GX1s. Like, they look reasonably convincing. Like, they don't look terrible, but they don't even have the full mid bend point, but they're very clearly fakes. And if I'm to look on the size tag on the inside here, I can open up a Google page here, and I can run in this top code, which is DC 9968-300. So I'm going to put that in. I'm going to put in, oh God, DC. I'm just going to put in Nike. So that's all I've put in is that and the word Nike. And what that will do is it will bring me up products as to what that particular product is. Now, if it's particularly stupid, it will do what this one has done, where it basically won't give you any convincing options because they've got it so wrong. But if you do a little bit of digging, so that code is for a Mercurial Vapor 15 Academy turf. In green by the looks of things. So this code is actually a little bit nonsense. Like, it's not actually a perfect code, but it's essentially a mercurial code. So it's not a foolproof method of checking if boots are real or fake. But if you can get somebody to come up with to give you that picture of the size label, 9 times out of 10, you'll be able to check it and make sure. If you're not sure, don't buy it. If it seems like too much of a good deal, don't buy it. Like, that's pretty much the rules there. But there we go. Uh, yeah, you look on the insole, see how much they've been used. That's another good one, actually. Usually, fakes are getting better at this, though. I wonder what this one's like. Yeah, you see, this is actually quite a good one. So frequently, this isn't what Sam was saying, but frequently the insole of a boot on fakes, and like I say, they're getting much better at this. The reverse side would just be a standard black, like, so there'd be nothing in it. It might even have like a different company's, like a generic company's kind of branding on it. Whereas now they're getting a lot better. Like, this is a actual replica of a Nike insole, right down to what's on the back there. So it's not as much of a, like, fakes are getting better and harder to spot, basically. Let's look. Sam had bought Arsenal third kit in XL, but it fits more like a 2XL. Some come with verified purchase option as well. Yeah. Yeah, I don't like the fact you have to pay for verified purchase. I feel like if the item is fake, then you should just immediately be able to be like, this item is fake, I want my money back. I know the idea is they send, like, so the seller sends it to somebody, like a middleman, and then the middleman, which is Vinted, check it, and they confirm that it's genuine, and then they send it to you. But why do you pay for that? Like, it yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. I feel like the onus should be on the seller to be selling genuine items, and if it's not genuine when it gets to you, then you should just be able to be like, so this is a fake. But yeah, and ask questions. Definitely ask questions. That is the best way to go. Speaking of asking questions, I'm running out of questions here, guys. Like, let's get on it. So in the meantime, what do I have on my table of fun over here? I have a table that's just full of boots. Let's get something interesting out. This is interesting. I don't know if I showed these on the podcast last week. I may have done, I may not have done. So this is a pair of the Puma Ultra Ultimate, but this is the teaser colorway that essentially was put out by Puma. They said there was only gonna be like 12 pairs, I think, something along those lines. And they never released like that 12 pairs never actually came to fruition. Unisport did videos on them, things like that, but those pairs never came to fruition. Kyle Walker was wearing a pair at some point, and I have a pair, kind of. So this is the colorway and this is the boot, but that particular boot and colorway was the carbon variation of the boot. This is obviously not the carbon. It's not the ultra carbon. It's the ultra ultimate, because this is a pro custom. So this was made for a women's football player at Lose FC, and essentially they never got to her. They ended up on, I think it was Vinted, and I bought them. So cool thing to have, and kind of like a really limited, like one of 12, but it's not a one of 12. It's actually more like a one of one. Which I don't know if that makes them cooler or not, because they're not the same as the ones that were advertised, but also nobody else has these. So I don't know. I can't wear them for reference because these are a size UK 4. But I'm a sucker for a boot that nobody else has. So I'm like, haha, I will be buying that. It also cost me very little money. But yeah, just thought I'd show that one off. While we're here, Clippy, let's see some of the older boots you still have around. I don't have a lot of older boots around. So um, essentially, in order to fund the channel, I sell a lot of stuff. Andrew is exactly the same. A lot of stuff has to be sold in order to keep the channel running, which means older boots tend to get cycled out. I have a video on my channel from, let's say, 4 or 5 years ago, where I went through my whole collection. And I would say the majority of what I show off in that collection, I no longer own, because it's been sold. A lot of the time, I don't want to sell the boots, but you have to in order to keep the channel running. So I don't have a lot of old stuff. I do have a couple of things, so I'll grab a couple. Bear with me. Okay, so I do have a pair of original Manias, the black and red ones, but they are like the sole plate snapped and everything. So I have those somewhere. I have a pair of Vapor Ones that I got sent by a friend of ours, Yuli. But they are in a box, like there's like kind of like in a sealed box buried, so I can't get those out. But so I have these. So obviously a T90 Air Zoom 3 in the gold and I suppose white colorway. That's one of my older boots. Then the only other kind of older stuff I have generally tends to be Lotto, because I have a soft spot for Lotto. So I have two pairs of super limited edition Luca Toni boots. So I have these. So these came in a box that's like a little piece of turf on the top there. And these are the Stadio Potenza Luca Tonis. So these ones, there's only 120 pairs of these ones made. There you go. This boot has Tony on the back, and the other one has Luca. And these actually have the turf on the inside of the box as well. So I have those. They're not like, none of these are particularly valuable. It's not like I have old stuff. One of my other pair of these is one of 48, I want to say. So those are a little bit more valuable, and they're also completely unused. But you know, and then for example, I have some random lottos. Like this is the Futura, yeah, the Futura 100. Like this would be one of the older boots that I have, but again, they're not stupid old or anything like that. But yeah, these are kind of like some of the older ones I have. As I say, I end up selling a lot of the old stuff. You can probably go back to like 2016 and start to find things. I've got a pair of kind of X's from around that time. various things like that. But in terms of like really old stuff, I don't have a lot because in the end I've had to sell a lot. So, you know. Oh, hold on. I've lost where I was. Um, what's your favorite pair of boots at the moment that you keep coming back to? The Adlers I showed earlier, as I say, they're my go in the bag boots. So those I really like. Um, the Sakitos, I do like those. And probably the Preds, actually, the Pred 25s. I like those quite a lot. The Messier 50s would have been the answer for quite some time, but I haven't really been wearing those recently. And again, you kind of see that this is all recent stuff. It's stuff that kind of because I'm always testing something, I still tend to stick to whatever's new. Because, for example, these Preds, my review will drop next week on these. Like this is my first review. I haven't done a review on these yet, so my review will drop next week. But if I keep tipping away at them and I keep using them from time to time, then they'll be well in line for kind of like a 6 month review or something like that. So kind of the channel dictates what goes on my feet most of the time. I unfortunately do not get to choose what I'm wearing outside of I'm buying this in order to wear it in order to make videos for the channel. So hold on. Oh God. Uh, I need to just scroll back up a second here, guys. Hi, James. What would you say is the best way to legit check vintage boots? Found a pair of made in Japan wave cups in blue, brand new size, like literally size tag that I said a minute ago. Check that size tag. That's the first place to be looking. That's exactly what Andrew said. Thank you very much, Andrew. Guys, forgot to mention I picked up the Adipower Predator Elite from Depop for £70. I think it's my all-time favorite boot, so I couldn't really pass up the opportunity. They're still really good. Actually, speaking about it, of boots that I kind of have locked away in boxes and stuff, I do have some Beckham Preds. I've got some Beckham Adipowers. I've got some Beckham Absolutes. Um, things like that. So again, shout out to Andrew, Lockout Boot Blog. Actually, he managed to find me most of those, so I should definitely mention those. That's the heartbreaking cycle. What's the pair you regret letting go the most? I would have to think about that. There's been many pairs, like even down to I recently sold my new lights pack colorway of the Vapor 13. That's the blue basically launch colorway of the Vapor 13. I love that colorway, love that boot, and the offer was too good, so they got sold. So that's one that like sticks in my mind from recent times. Is that again older boots? I have a pair of Lotto Zero Gravities, original ones. Like it'd take me forever to dig all these out. Sorry. Um, who's tried the Adipower Predator Elite? The photo. Yeah, Adipowers are great. Love the Adipowers. Love the Adipowers. Fantastic boots. Yeah, Van Persie vibes for sure. Um, how can I legit check size tags? Sorry, William, you must have joined after I was explaining this. There'll be an article code on the inside of the size tag. You'll be able to enter that article code into the internet along with the name of the brand, and it will bring you up a list of boots. And in that list of boots, you'll be able to see if it matches with the boot that you're being shown, or if it's something different. It's the best place to start. What are your thoughts on heel liners that aren't suede? Should they be banned or anything higher than a league price point? Um, Basically, that you can get good ones off, like for example, these. This does not have a suede heel liner, but the way that the heel is designed is phenomenal. So you don't actually need to have the suede heel liner in it. And because of the style of boot, I also think the suede heel liner is unnecessary. So I think this is completely fine. But I think if you're going to go like, if you're going to build a boot in a fashion such as this, or you're going to go and get yourself a turn and stitch heel or something like that. Speaking of which, on the boots that I'm wearing a lot at the moment, the Asics X-Fly Pro 3, then that on an elite level boot, that should probably be a synthetic suede, really, just for it to be premium, to hold onto your socks, things like that. Andrew explaining the size tag with the product number on it there. Thank you very much, Andrew. I'm noticing brands coming out with teaser colorways and many of the times adding a premium to it. The newest Mm, is that the Stadios? Look like stadium and grass inside the box, which I thought was cool. Is it like the Lotto Stadios? Yeah. Hold on. I assume you mean this. So stadium in there. And if you take the boots out, there's a pitch in the bottom. Nice touch. Also, big thanks to Lotto for sending me those. Um, yeah, that is absolutely there. And yeah, a lot of brands are coming out with a teaser colorway, adding like a 10 euro premium to it. Puma did it with the new Future, things like that. Not a trend that I particularly love, especially considering I usually buy the first colorway because I'm trying to get the review done as quickly as possible for everybody. So adding a 10 euro premium to said boots is pretty much a disaster, if I'm being honest. I don't love it. I understand why they do it. Don't love it. Did you go for the narrow fit in the custom Atlas, James? No, I did not. I went for the regular fit. Andrew went for the narrow fit actually, but I do not have. I don't have a narrow foot. I don't have a wide foot. My foot is fairly regular, so I have the regular fit. So these here, but do bear in mind if you're looking at these thinking they look quite narrow, I have quite small feet and I went a full size down in these. So these are like a 250, I think. So they're just a small football boot. So I wouldn't be worried about them looking narrow or anything like that. Yeah, no, William, no worries. I figured you weren't in the chat when I was talking about sizes. Not a bother at all. My Mizuno Alpha Elite's toe box just split after minimum use. Have you experienced this? Nope. I've had two pairs of alphas and no problems at all. Like I just no issues. I'm thinking of getting grip socks. I already have two one-up pairs of SR4U grip socks, the old ones. Would you recommend getting four pairs of the Optimize socks or one pair of the Wii Foot? That's actually a good question. Oh, that is a really good question. Obviously, four pairs of socks are going to be good because you're going to be able to rotate them. You're going to get a lot of life out of them. The Wii Foots are simply better socks. Like, there's no debate about that. But obviously one pair of socks is going to wear out an awful lot faster. But the Wii Foot socks also have more durability than the optimized socks. So that's a really good question. What would I personally do? I would probably buy the Wii Foots and keep them for game day. Like, and maybe like if you can, maybe get one pair of the Optimize and one pair of the Wii Foot. Remember, I do have discount codes for the Wii Foot, so you can get yourself a nice little discount on the Wii Foot socks. So if you get one pair of each, you can maybe use the Optimize ones in training or something, and the Wii Foot ones in games. Maybe, yeah, maybe. Any boots similar to the Hypervenom Phantom 3? Really love them. Um, no. Currently, I don't think so. Like the Hypervenom Phantom 3, it's a knit base. You've kind of got those foam pods in it. No, I'll have a think, but I top of my head, no. Zoe Phillips, controversial opinion here. I'm a fan of the Copa Icon 1. They're chunky, however, it's a refreshing change from all these hyper thin modern boots. Good lockdown and incredible feel for the bull. Yeah, like I think a good few people like the Icon 1. I think the Icon 2 is going to be the much bigger thing, the thing that more people are going to go for and enjoy. And I think the Copa Icon 2 is really going to take something off for Adidas. It seems very, very positive. Yeah, heel depth and things like that. So the Cobra Icon 2 I think has fixed that, so it's worth a look. Let's have a look. Question for you there, Andrew. I think doesn't show them online. Article number, yeah. Check the article number, not the serial number. William, I was thinking based on Noah saying the Adler's lockdown wasn't elite level, based off the fact the Yatas are all leather. If you went for a narrow fit, the customs could mitigate this. So width of a boot is going to a degree impact the lockdown, but not enough for me to justify changing the width that I buy because it's going to depend on my foot shape. If I buy a boot that's too narrow, it's not going to be worth it to try and get a little bit of extra lockdown. Um, in my opinion, check with Andrew. It's Adler questions. Like that's the probably the way to go. Um, I think it's a structure thing more than a width thing. Like it's the material itself. I don't really think you're gonna. I don't think the width adjustment is going to make a big enough difference for me personally to justify it. There you go. Sketches SKX similar to Phantom 3, or is that a stretch? That's a massive stretch. Like avoid. Yeah, no, like absolutely not. Like I see the logic of why you've thought that, but no, mainly because I don't think the Skechers SKX is a good football boot. Like I don't rate it at all, so I would avoid. And Andrew has answered the Adler question already. Of course, he has. Why are brands such as Lotto and Diodora not able to keep up with the mainstream brands? I remember they were quite prominent in the 90s. Even Shevchenko is wearing Lotto in his prime days. Yeah, there's even a custom line of Lotto Shevchenko boots. And Andrew has the perfect answer just under there. Quite simply, money. Lotto cannot afford to put the same amount of money in as Nike, Adidas, anybody else like that in order to promote their brands, to get their boots on people's feet, things like that. If Lotto had Puma money and could throw their boots on every man and his dog that was playing in top leagues, they would sell more boots. They would be a much more prominent part of the discussion. It would also mean that they wouldn't be sitting on the same boots for 5 or 6 years without a refresh and update because they'd be putting money into their football department because they'd see it as beneficial. They don't make enough money from football, so they don't put money into football. It's a vicious cycle, but it's essentially dominated by the fact that Nike, Adidas, Puma, etc., have more money to throw at this than brands like Lotto do. There you go. Um, Clippy, New Balance Tequila for a good knitted boot. I agree. Phantom 3 with no pods. See, I think the touch is too different. But I see what you're thinking. Like, it's obviously a really nice, soft, knitted upper boot. I do get that. I just think that the touch is so far away from what you got on the Phantom 3 that it would be a difficult comparison to make. But I definitely see why you're thinking that in the comparison. Bobby Waller, hi, after a recommendation for me to get GX2 for wide feet. I love the shoe so much, even though a little bit cramping on the midfoot in the first use. But after match 3 is going well. Thanks for the recommendation. Excellent. Love that. Delighted to have been able to help. Bootman Sam, I've not honestly experienced anything like the pod on the Hypervenom 3. Didn't feel it at the time, but if you did hit the pods when striking the ball, felt amazing. Yeah, absolutely. Interestingly, the Puma Future 8, which I don't recommend buying, I don't like the boot at all, has a really nice kind of pod system for when you're striking the ball. You actually get a really nice punch and feel off it. But the way that the upper is constructed is complete and utter nonsense, in my opinion. But the pods they've used in it are actually quite nice. Samuel, I think if you play football, you should be cutting toenails every 2 weeks. Do you do similar? I just keep them as short as possible all the time because I've lost too many toenails, black toenails, things like that, testing boots that is just painful. Um, do you think Adler Yatagara shoes are durable enough to be used on AG in winter conditions? How much treatment do you have to give it? Is it high maintenance? Yatagara shoe, that is definitely an Andrew question. I'm hoping he's still in the chat. So he will hopefully be able to answer that for you. William Arthur, have you seen the SG's conversion Sokito offer? Looks great and excited for more colorway. Yeah, they've actually always offered that SG conversion, I think. I think you were able to get that pretty early on. But yeah, it's a really great option to be able to get the SG boot, and hopefully we've got an AG boot coming soon as well. Can anyone recommend 3 boots I can try for under 80 euros? It depends on like if that's your price point, you want to be looking at things that are on sale. So go and look at pro level boots that you can pick up at discounted prices. For example, the Puma King Pro that we were talking about earlier, have a look at that at a discounted price point. You might even be able to get something like an ultimate level Puma boot at a discounted price around, pardon me, you might even be able to get something that's like that. Look on sites like Vinted that we were talking about earlier, where you can pick up things that are either lightly used or brand new and are just being traded back in that you can get at really great prices. I would generally avoid picking up Academy or those kind of like league match third tier boots. They tend to not do the job. If you do absolutely have to have something that is of a current colorway, current brand boot, and you've only got 80 euros to spend, the Puma Ultra Match. I think is currently my top recommendation for that, or the Adidas F50 Messi League, probably the best two. But I wouldn't bother. I would get something on sale or something that's maybe been used a couple of times from a site like Vinted, eBay, Depop, something like that. Boy Bowler, what do you think about Copa Icon or Copa Gloro for turf? Which one is good? All on FG. I haven't used either in any recent times, but I don't really see a problem with either of them based on what I know of the sole plate. I probably don't have enough information on either to give you that kind of information. Sammy Flips, I see why Andrew doesn't like the Mercurial Vapor 16 outsole. However, it isn't flimsy. However, isn't it flimsy, etc., due to the Air Zoom tech? Let's talk about that insole. Hold on. All right. Vapor 16 insole. First part of the problem is this this mesh liner that's on top of it. Utter crap. Utter crap. Um, let's get out so this is the insole from the from the current Pred 25 Elite. The top on this is much nicer. It's just more premium. It simply is. And even that isn't as good as what you're going to get on the F50, the F50 Messi. The F50 insoles are much, much nicer. And it's something that brands keep doing is to take away some of these elements to try and make things more affordable, and they're just making them worse. So yeah, this mesh top liner is crap, utter crap. And then how flimsy it is, yeah, is definitely impacted by this cutout just here. But the whole thing is just bad from start to finish. Like it's just bad. And this isn't even as bad as the one you got on the launch colorway, the Bauman Pack one. Oh, that was awful. Skiller with a chat. Thank you so much for your donation there. That is very, very appreciated. And of course comes with a question. What are the greatest boots of all time? Well, there is of course only one option, one answer. It's the Adidas Nemesis 19.1. Naturally. Um, okay, that's a very personal pick. Obviously, I absolutely love the Nemesis 19.1. I think it's a fantastic football boot, and it genuinely is one of my top boots of all time. But I think if you are talking about boots like that, you have to consider the Copa Mundial. It's not the best performing boot anymore, but its impact on the boot industry maybe makes it the most important boot of all time. So that's really worth thinking about. The Nike Tiempo, um, not the Premier, sorry, from '94, Tiempo Premier, from 1994. That launches Nike into essentially this new age of boots that we had never seen them do before. For reference, Nike had a football boot since 1984 in the Tiempo D, but it didn't make it. There was no impact from it. They weren't pushing it. Then in '94, they take that, they make it big. If that doesn't work and they don't have it on the feet of pretty much every single athlete in the final of that World Cup, do we have Nike as the brand we have them today within football boots? So something like the Tiempo Premier, super important. The Copa Mundial, if that doesn't get developed, football boots don't advance in the way that we get them right now. So those two boots, in terms of like how important they are, really difficult to kind of start to see past that. Andrew is in the chat, so he will probably bring up the Morelia, the Mizuno Morelia, which is fundamentally unchanged from 30, 40 years ago or something. There's Morelia too, but you know what I mean. That's obviously a boot that has a big impact as well. So those are obviously huge boots that are impactful. And then if we're talking about something in terms of its pure performance, you are probably looking at something that's come out in the last 5-10 years, because boots have just advanced so much. I don't think, in my opinion, there's any argument that the current Predator performs better than, for example, the Precision, the Accelerator, the Mania, the Pulse, like all of these old style Predators that are much loved, I don't think there's any question that this is a better football boot than that in pure performance terms. So if we're just talking about pure performance, we are looking at something much more recent if we're not looking at something that is iconic or something that's had such a huge impact on the industry. So I think the greatest boots of all time comes down to what your criteria for that is. Let me know. Okay, I'll go back to see where we were. Sorry, this is terrible podcasting. I'm kind of like reading things as I'm going and doing a very good job of talking, a very bad job of talking. Ross O'Gunner, James Andrew, do you both have a boot that you like so much but sadly not able to fit in? Not necessarily, but I do have a boot that I like that I don't fit properly because the heel isn't right for me, and that's the current Ultra Ultimate. I think it's a really great football boot, but because of my foot shape and the sizing I have to go for to get it to work properly, it doesn't really suit my heel, which is a bit of a shame. But I still recommend it to a lot of people. I think it's a fantastic football boot. How's the toe box of the Predator 25? 42.5 feels a little narrow, but 43 feels too long, but better on the toe box. Yeah, it is a little bit on the low side. But honestly, my advice is whatever you would normally buy in an Adidas boot, go up half a size. That would be my standard recommendation for the Predator. There we go. How long did it take you for the break in the F50 messy? So when I'm training alone, I need to take them off after some time for minutes mid training. Um, Mine were pretty much good to go after like 10 minutes. I kind of put them on and went running and they were grand. Like this could be a case of some, like somebody mentioned above, a boot that doesn't necessarily fit your foot or fit your yeah, just fit your foot shape very particularly well. But yeah, honestly, I think that the F50 Messi breaks in really quickly. It's really great. Will Martha, what is it about the Nemesis that you love? Okay, just let me grab another Nemesis, shall I? Let's just use this one. Okay, so the first thing and probably the most important thing is the fit. This boot fits my foot perfectly. Like the volume, the shape, this the elasticity in this here. So I have a little bit of a high volume foot in this area here, so just up here, and this just stretches out nicely enough to wrap it around without it being uncomfortable. I don't have any dead space under the arch, so my arch comes in quite a lot, and you see how because of the split sole, this the material just gets pulled straight underneath, so I don't have any dead space there. And then in the right size, I also don't have any room at the front, and my toes aren't squashed either because there's just enough volume in the toe box. So firstly, that's obviously very personal. The fit for me is pretty much perfect. Then on top of that, I like the touch on the ball. So I quite like boots where I have a barefoot touch, but I don't always want that kind of pingy barefoot touch. I want to feel direct and connected to the ball, but I don't necessarily want to feel like it's a raw barefoot touch. I think that's what you get here. So this is like having a barefoot touch, but with like a solid feeling behind it. So, particularly when you're striking the ball, maybe taking shots or something like that, really striking through a ball, the feeling that you get off that, I think, is a really nice balance. And that's aided by something that I do actually generally put down as maybe something that could be improved in the boot, which is the weight distribution of the boot. So a lot of the weight in this boot is distributed into the sole plate. Like the boot is heavy in the base, not through the upper. So when you combine the ability to strike the ball and how that feels with the additional weight through the sole plate and the way that that transitions weight through your foot and the way that that feels, really adds to a really nice sensation on the ball. Then, on top of that, you do take the outsole, which again, I have said could be improved. I would love to see a Gambatrax outsole on this. It's just really well balanced. So I like boots that have sole plates that are balanced. And I think that this has a particularly well balanced sole plate. And despite the weight being in there and the differences between the upper and the outsole, I also think they suit each other quite well. Something I've tried to be talking about a lot more recently is the balance between outsoles and uppers. The Puma Future 8, for example, being a terrible example of a balanced outsole and upper. It simply doesn't have balance. One does not match or make sense with the other. Whereas in this instance, it does great multi-directional movement while being aggressive enough. And I like, as I've mentioned a few times, I like a snappy boot and I love a stable midfoot. This has a very stable midfoot, almost too stiff to be honest, even for me. But that's very stable. You got a nice amount of spring back through the front, and the lateral stability because of how this upper is built. Like I say, being that little bit on the stiffer side means that it has great lateral stability as well. There you go. There's a breakdown of the Nemesis from my own personal perspective. Enjoy. Uh, Skill of Football, yes, Nemesis definitely underrated. Thank you very much. If you aren't following Skill of Football, by the way, go and check out Skillet F. Are you still Skillet FC? I assume you are. On Instagram, has some of the greatest content you will ever see in your life. Go and check that out. Best boot under 140. I'm currently on the Adler Yatagara shoe. If you are thinking Adler Yatagara shoe, go and buy the Adler Yatagara shoe. That is the simple answer to that question. I got a pair of the Nemesis Point 1, but the sizing for me is a bit weird. Yeah, fine. Like if the sizing's weird for you, the sizing's weird for you. Completely understand that. Sammy Phillips, when picking a boot in store, do you think it's important to flex the sole plate to ensure the performance is top tier, then try them on after they pass this test? I would try them on first, then flex the sole plate. Don't influence your decision of the fit based on how the sole plate flexes before you put them on your feet. There you go. Vario, do you play pickup football or just solo train sessions? No, I play pickup, usually 7-a-side. So I'm not playing 11s anymore, really, because I'm old and broken. Nor do I not have the stamina nor the capacity within my joints to continue to play 11-a-side football on a regular basis and train multiple times a week. I have a family, I have a child. I can't commit to something like that where it's scheduled. But yeah, I go and play pickup football, usually 7-a-side, and then I do my solo sessions. The solo sessions I usually do for the purposes of getting footage for the reviews. There you go. Which boots do you recommend which have a very very narrow midfoot? I like this for my high arch. Vapor 9 midfoot was top tier. Not sure about the stud pan. Check out the Puma women's fit, the Puma Ultra women's fit. That'll help, especially if you've got a high arch. Thank you very much for continuing to answer questions, Andrew. You are saving my life here. Thank you very much. There we go. Andrew has nailed this. Andrew has absolutely nailed this. This is why, see, this is why I have, this is why I don't do podcasts by myself, because Andrew is the man with the knowledge and I'm just the man who talks. So I do a lot of talking and have a lot of boots. And then if I need if I need to know something important, I'm just like, so Andrew, how about this thing? And then Andrew answers the important questions. So I think Andrew has got you all covered just there. Clippy, do I add a pair of Nemesis to the collection or just to entertain James? Yes, you do. Yes, you absolutely do. And I will not rest until there is a video on your channel of the Adidas Nemesis saying just how incredible it is. Varia, I'm fairly young, but I don't really like 11-a-side. I prefer fast-paced 7 and 8-a-side. Yeah, completely fine. Like, it's the same with boots. Football, boots, whatever you're doing, wear what you like and play the type of football that you like to play. The most important thing is to enjoy it. Like, if you don't enjoy what you're doing, then why are you doing it? Just because you think you should? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, wear the boots that you want to wear. If you like a third-tier takedown, second-tier takedown of a boot, go for it. I have absolutely slammed the Puma Future 7 Ultimate and the 8 Ultimate for being bloody awful. And people tell me all the time, I quite like that. It's cool. Cool. Like, if that's what you like, you wear it. The same applies to football. Play the type of football you want to play where you want to play, and enjoy it. Because if you don't enjoy it, what is the point? Like, there you go. Clippy, I'm a US 9 if you have some laying around. I'm my friend in the Nemesis. I'm a US 7.5, and you have absolutely no hope. Oh, this is interesting. Right, this is gonna be the last question, guys. So, if everybody could just get subscribed, like this video, and also, if possible, if anybody wants to check out becoming a member, be able to get all of the videos early, including the boot battles I mentioned earlier. There's like a whole month's worth of videos up on my channel right now for my members. Bootman Sam being one of my members. I have over 2 months now, so thank you very much, Sam. And yeah, please consider helping support the channel. Check out me, get subscribed here. Check out Andrew's blog at Lockout Boot Blog. He's got a great review up on the 442 Elite, which everybody should go and read, and that would be much appreciated. And we'll finish up with Sam's question here. Samuel Phillips: do you believe every boot should come in a conical stud variation for safety and versatility, e.g., Phantom GX2 would benefit? Yes. um, so I understand why they don't, but is that something that I would want to see? Absolutely. Like, I would love for every boot to have a genuine FG AG model. So something that was essentially their AG option that was also just suitable for like a nicer age FG pitch as well. And I think that would be a really great balance, and essentially would be the boot that I would buy every single time. It's how I feel about the current Mercurial. So like the current Mercurial is fine, and the sole plate is great for a Mercurial, the aggressive sole plate. This one here, really, really great sole plate for an aggressive Mercurial. But the AG version of this with the conical studs is so much better for 90% of people. Most people don't need or even want this, even if they think they do. A conical stud pattern on this, and this is a great FGAG option, I think is so much better, and it just is better for the boot. The same can be said of the Predator. I like this sole plate, but I prefer the AG option. Like, I just think it offers more, it's safer, it's better for more people, it's not as hard on your joints. I think it's a really solid option to absolutely have that available. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining today. Thank you, Andrew, for being here. That is much appreciated, my friend, because you have just like literally covered off so many of the questions. Everybody send Andrew get well soon messages. The only reason he is not on this podcast today, for anybody who joined late, is because he is sick. So he was unable to do the live with me on Friday and is unable to be with me today. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining. If you have any further questions, please either DM one of the two of us. We are happy to talk boots with you. The one thing we would say is if you have a specific question about a boot, such as sizing or something like that, please check our reviews first. The best way that you can support either of us is to actually go and read our reviews, check out our content, watch the videos. We would love to help you. We would love to discuss boots with you, but please do consume our content first, because it helps support what we do, and you will get your answer an awful lot faster. But by all means, get in touch, jump into our DMs, ask us questions. Skill of football. Mercurial sulfate feels great, but it's also a great way to break your ankles. Yeah, Skill of Football is a huge fan of the Vapor 11, so the man is the man the man knows what he's talking about. Skiller is better, and that's what's important. Skiller has been sick, and he's been injured, and he's been out, and I'm so delighted that he will be back. Samuel Phillips, the next live, we go live every single Friday at 11 p.m. GMT. So that's kind of London, Dublin time. 11 p.m. because that's 11 p.m. for me and 8 a.m. for Andrew on the Saturday. So that's when we will be. That's when we will be live. Keep a check on my Instagram story and Andrew's Instagram story. If we're ever not doing a live, that's where we will announce it. The podcast itself will go up on the channel in an edited form at 11 a.m. on a Sunday, which is why we are here with me right now at 11 a.m. on a Sunday. There wasn't an edited form, so we're doing a live Sunday podcast instead. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure and a lovely way to spend a Sunday morning with you all. That will be everything from me, and I will see you all very soon. Yes, put on the bell notifications. Do what Skiller says. Follow Skiller Football. Do what he says. He's a very smart man. He's from Finland. That automatically makes him smart. I don't know why, but it does. See you later, everybody. Bye-bye.